مرحبا يعطيكم العافية. We're very happy to have Mahmoud Hammouri, first PM بكالو هلا Group Product Manager بكالو. رح يحكينا how to build product in a counterintuitive way.
صح.
So looking forward. Thank you Mahmoud.
شكرا أبو حجلة. طب أنا قبل ما أبدأ بس I would like to get a sense of the audience. How many here are يعني product managers or يعني aspiring to become product managers generally? So the raise of hand. Oh ما شاء الله. Okay, bravo. Okay, CEO, founders, co-founders of startups. Okay, nice. This will apply to you as well. Engineers, anything else? حلو ممتاز. طيب إن شاء الله it will apply for everyone, to everyone يعني. Maybe we can actually, let's kick off the slides if possible. Okay. It's not showing. تمام. Okay. Probably يعني most of you came, I would assume because of the title. It says about how to build great products fast. Great products that are fast. Great means that users actually want them. Users actually want them and love them. Fast, that you actually can execute them and deliver them fast. I have a promise. By the end of this talk, you will actually learn how to build better products or faster, build products faster. Or both if you understand it really deeply. Okay? This is, I know it's a wild promise, but the reason I'm actually very confident about this is because this is none of what you'll hear is, I'm saying for the first time. Everything that you'll see, I have shared it with multiple teams, and it has consistently made them build better products faster. It's a proven formula almost. The other thing is, this came out of survival mode, you could say. I worked at Calo. Calo is one of the fastest growing companies in the region. And I joined them as a first PM. Conventional product management would never have worked because we need to do something drastically different to keep up with the pace and the expectations. Just to give you a sense, within 4 years, we expanded from 1 city to 20 cities. And from thousands to millions, meals, deliveries, even revenue, you could say. So we had to come up with something completely different. Cool? There are 4 things that I will be sharing today that I believe are the biggest bottlenecks to building better products faster. Okay, I will share them one by one. You don't need to memorize them or take a screenshot or whatever. They are all sorted by the level. The first things are going to be for mostly juniors, and then we'll keep up, leveling up the level until we get to some senior level. But there is something for everyone. Everyone, inshallah, will benefit from this. The second one, actually, that I found most, that makes the most drastic difference in teams. They actually makes them significantly better in so many different ways. Cool? For the first thing I'm going to talk about is product managers themselves. I'm glad there are many product managers or aspiring ones. So I will actually walk you through what typical product management actually looks like today. The first thing is they keep on writing tickets, right? Write tickets, plan sprints with the teams. This is the first thing that consumes most of their time. Second thing is they spend time judging the design of the designer. The third thing is they do some analysis. Sorry, let me just adjust this for a bit. If actually that applies to some of them. And the last thing is they follow up on Slack, right? This is actually where most of the product managers spend their time. Now, this works. This is good work. If you actually do this, this is good work. But the problem is none of this is actually product management. This is all project management. Congrats, you're an excellent project manager. Cool. If you actually hear this and you've been spending 99% of your time just doing project management, then the first thing that would come to mind is, okay, what on earth is the product management then? What should we do? What actually good project management is? And this is actually, I bet it's 90% of product managers. At 12 midnight, they contemplate and say, who am I? What am I doing? Why would even a company hire me? Right? This existential crisis, I bet it's for everyone. Today, inshallah, we will resolve this. identity crisis after خلاص we deepen it. Okay. طيب, the first thing, let me actually prove to you why they actually they all do what they project management. Write tickets. Engineers can actually write significantly better tickets than you. Okay, if by writing tickets you're actually wasting their time. Design, if you have a good designer, what are you even judging them? Really, if they know what they're doing, why do they need your judgment to begin with? Analysis, if you have a good analyst, especially even now with AI and all of that, anyone in the company can produce better analysis than you are. And follow-ups, you do follow-ups because things are screwed up. But if things are going well, then why are you even following up, right? By this formula, now you realize that there is actually very little value to you. If anything, your presence is actually worse for the company, right? Because all your existence depends on things being inefficient, being ineffective, right? If things are going well, if you have a good team, if engineers know what to do, what's your worth? Why do you even exist, right? Cool, nice. Type. Now that خلاص everyone has an identity crisis. Let's make it better, inshallah. Okay, this is what they do. Their actual most are hired for implementation. Let's ask ourselves, what is the best use of a PM? If you contemplate for a second, think, when was the moment where I was of utmost value to the company, where I felt most fulfilled? Think of it for a second. Okay. To do that, let's start fresh. Okay. What I present to you is somewhat of a different mindset of thinking about product management. It's not a framework, it's not AI and all of that. It's just a mindset. It's a different mindset of thinking about product management. Cool? Hiring anyone should be valuable. Valuable means that if I pay X money for that person, it should return this amount of money for the company. The only way it makes sense, and the best analogy I found for that, is that PM's biggest value is if they spot problems. Now we say, oh, okay, I'm sure, you heard this 1 trillion times. You have to find the problems, discovery is the biggest thing, right? But why is it actually, as a cliche as it sounds, why is it so incredibly valuable? Because ask the engineers around you and ask the engineers that you work with. The single thing that frustrates them the most is building things that nobody wants, right? But even if you don't have engineers, even if you have, I would assume, not talented engineers, if you give them the right problems to work on, they will definitely deliver better value than an exceptional engineers with weak problem to work on. And this is massively important. And just to illustrate what that really means is, think of PMs as investors. Okay, forget the design, business, tech, and you are the crossover. PMs are investors. They are in-house investors. That's why they exist. Okay, and I will elaborate on this analogy really well. As a PM, you are entrusted with resources. What does that mean? Company has entrusted you with engineers, with designers, with analysts, maybe with some tools. Your whole job is to bring the highest ROI on those resources. To illustrate this, let me illustrate this a little better. Every month, the company gives you $10,000. Let's say a total, whatever the team size is. Okay, gives you $10,000. Your whole job as a PM, this is what distinct a good product manager from a great product manager from weak product managers. Good product managers, they really just spend the $10,000 by writing tickets and design. You spent the $10,000 successfully. Congrats. But what's the return on that $10,000? Did it make more money? Did it improve profitability? Did it increase retention? That's literally the analogy of what product managers are. So, and as an investor mindset, you have also need to think of different strategies of how you invest. This is what we refer to as prioritization, but investment crystallizes this idea a little better. You have short-term investment, things that you need, where the return can come from a month or 3 months maximum. And there are the long-term investments, where you need to invest in things maybe that are 1 year or 2 years ahead, right? And as a product manager, you need to think of your portfolio. Is the company right now in a good position to invest in long term when when we don't have revenue? No, you should work on revenue first. What revenue can we bring in the first 3 months? You can't just all of a sudden prioritize two things that's going to take 2 years and say, well, we need to innovate. No, it's not the time for innovation. The other way also works. If the company is already saturated the market, you can't just keep working on short-term features and enhancements. You need to do something drastically different. You need to invest things that are a little more long-term. Cool. I will give you just, this is all theory, but I will give you actual numbers of what a great product manager's investment portfolio actually looks like. Great product managers have an ROI of 5 to 10. ROI is return on investment. Cool. Of course, now this can go even up to 20. Depends on the company growth, the company size, and all of that. But even the startups, the smallest startups, can at least get from 2 to 5x. What that basically means is, if your annual resources, every year, you are entrusted with $100,000 of resources, engineers' time, salaries, designers, and all of that, you are expected to bring revenue that's equivalent of 500,000 to 2 million. This is product management. Cool. So let this sink in for a bit. If you're not bringing in a value for the company between $500,000 to 2 million, if you have an average size team, you're not doing good product management. Cool. Now, when you think about it, the first thing comes to mind is, no, actually, this job is actually difficult, right? And I doubt someone looks at this number and says, anyone can bring in $2 million of value every year, right? And again, this is just for a single squad. If you have 5 squads, you need 10 million. Cool. Now, how can you just to go back to the same problem, how can you bring $2 million in value if you're not focusing on the right problems consistently? There's no way, right? You need to be obsessed. You need to be incredibly not talented, but put the real effort into really knowing exactly what matters to the customers so that you can guarantee $2 million in value. This is where is the difficulty of product management. Cool? Now, if you were thinking, okay, how can we realize this? I know not all the companies apply the same, but generally, the way you can bring in those is either you do things that can improve acquisition, you make the app, the website, a little more engaging, that it affects the retention. There are so many ways you can actually measure that return on investment. There are also cost savings if you're working on an operational or an internal sort of product management role. Think of the cost savings. Think whatever, like the CX team spends this amount of hours every day. If I save it, how would that realize? How can I realize the value of that? This is the cost saving. Of course, the bigger the operation model, the bigger the saving. Also, the foundational work. Sometimes you need to invest in product work that is foundational. Without it, the company cannot scale. Cool. All of those, think of them as investments and start actually counting them and realizing them, actually sharing them even with the team. This will even give you the confidence you need and will help you realize your value even within the company. They realize, this product manager knows what they do. They brought all of this return on their team's investment. Cool. This is what a product manager is. They're an investors. Second thing, okay, this is problems, right? They spot problems, cool, but who will eventually find the solution? Who's the person responsible for the solutions? Not the PM. PMs are horrible at solutions, and including CEOs and founders. They are the worst at finding solutions. Okay? But they should be exceptionally great at finding problems and opportunities, the things that actually matter. But PMs generally are the worst. So we better not even set the expectation from the start. So then who's going to work on the solutions? Designers and engineers. And honestly, just ask the engineers around you or the engineers here. Just ask them what brings you the most joy in your life. They'll tell you problem solving. Like literally, most of the engineers got into software engineering because they enjoy problem solving. If you take out the problem solving from their job, what is left for them to do? If you just tell them, this solution, just go execute it. What's left? Designer engineers are exceptionally well. And honestly, if there's one thing that I cannot emphasize enough is on this. The second point is get the engineers as involved in the solution as much as possible, and almost with little intervention from the product as much as possible. Cool? Okay, where are we? Okay, no. Okay, so this is just the last thing that I actually need you to focus on. If you're asking then if the designer and engineers are actually going to work in the solution, what's the product manager role? The product manager role is what I call immerse them in context. Okay? Immerse them in context, let them, flood them with context. Not only user context, I know context you can say, this is the user, this is what they need. Okay, this is good enough, but it's not great. Great context, immersing them in context, is you even give them business context, like why this matters. How is this going to reflect on the P&L, the profit and losses? Why this is going to change the trajectory of the business? Don't hesitate from sharing even the deepest business context to the engineers. They are smart people, and the designers, they're incredibly talented people. Just treat them as such and give them this context. This will change your life. Like literally, if you would like to leave now, just take this with you and leave. This is the most important thing that will change your product management career. Don't give them solutions. Immerse the engineers and designers in context. They will give you incredibly better solutions than you have ever thought of. And they will execute it significantly faster than any other velocity you've ever experienced in your life. Just do this experiment. Okay? So I'll just take a break for you guys to take a breath. And so am I. Time. Now, this is all nice. Okay, spotting problems, solutions. This is all nice, right? Until you get that one Slack notification. Okay? Everyone knows what's going to come in next, right? It's whether it's a screenshot, whether it's an idea they dreamed of at the middle of the night, right? Once you see this message, what you say is, Hammouri, thank you for your talk, but this is all nonsense. I gotta go do what the CEO wants, or what the VP of product wants, or what this leader wants, right? Now, inshallah, you will figure out how to deal with this, okay? But let's walk through a couple of scenarios. How are we gonna respond to this? Let's go with the first scenario. This is, I bet, like most of the product managers do. Sure, let's do it. Right? No question asked. Oh, what is this for? Nothing, right? Actually, this is not the worst option. Those who do this, actually, they will remain good product managers, but I bet you they will remain mediocre. They will never become great PMs. Can you say, oh, yeah, sure, let's go, right? So, okay, let's run this scenario a little again. Let's, if you if you open LinkedIn, what they're gonna advise you, you should ask why, right? Okay, let's try to ask the CEO, why is this important? How is this gonna turn out? Do you think the CEO will respond to this well? Who would say this? They would say this. If you're excited out of LinkedIn, this will be what you'll come up with, right? They will say that you are a clueless PM. You have no idea what you're talking about. I'm telling you this is important, and you're asking why is this important, right? What is left, Hammouri? خلاص, you've put us in the corner. I can't say yes, and I can't question it. Then what do? I'll show you what exceptional product managers do. Product managers are exceptional partners. Great product managers are great partners. What that means is you don't ask for context for every feature. You already have the context. You understand the why already. You've already done the homework from the start. If you're a co-founder, you wouldn't ask why, right? Because you already immersed in the context. You already understand why this is important, why is this not important. Treat yourself as a co-founder. There is no way you can become a great product manager if you don't think of yourself as a co-founder of the company and actually understand the context already. You don't still need to get the context. You already have the context. And this is how it will reflect. They say what we need to do this ASAP. You need to read what is behind what he's saying. Okay? What they're saying basically is our P&L is disastrous. We're losing money, and we're not able to profit. And this is the best idea that I was able to come up with. Okay? This is what they're saying behind their words. If you have the context, you would understand where they're coming from. In this case, you don't just respond with yes, sure. You actually say it as a co-founder, as a partner. You say, I'm working with the CFO directly. Or I'm working even with the board member on this. This is what an actual partner does. Let's take another example. They say this is a screenshot. It's probably a client who has asked for it, right? Why aren't you the person who's already in talks with this client? If you understand that this is what the client wants, you already know. Then you say, خلاص, I'm calling them tomorrow. Or I'm already in talks with them, right? This is what actual partners do. Let's do another example. This thing is important because there is another strategic project that's running in the company, right? And they just said, okay, why is this product manager not working on this already? Why they're not giving us the support we need? If you're involved already and know what you're doing, then you should already have a good answer. You should already say that, oh, we already have an alternative, we already have a simpler solution, we already thought of this is the plan. This is what great product managers do. Cool? Time. So far, this gives you the essence of product manager, but there's one last thing that I would like to share that's particularly unique maybe to larger scale companies and to maybe a little more high advanced and high growth companies, okay? And that is, there's a trap that actually takes so much of people's time. So much. And also, if you open LinkedIn, you'll see everyone talking about it. But I will just help you just highlight this trap so that you can avoid it. You know what that trap is? Let's experiment. Okay? Why do people say, Allah, let's go, let's experiment? There are two reasons, mainly, okay? First thing, especially if you're in a good company and they have the resources, you'd say, let's experiment because there's poor thinking. Why think? Let's A/B test this. Right? This is going to be useful. Let's experiment and see what the result is. This is disastrous. Even if you have the resources, just focusing on experimentation is not going to be enough. You still need to a lot of thinking. Is this experiment going to make me more money? Is this actually big enough? Is the sample big enough to bring in significance? Are we willing to spend 2 to 3 months of experimentation? People think that experiments are fast. Experiments, even if you have all the resources, they're still so slow. Because if you do an experiment this week, you still need 2 weeks to bring in the results. And from 2 weeks, you still need to iterate on it and wait another 2 weeks. So at best, if you were to do at least 3 iterations, you still waste 2-3 months. So it seems cheap at the start, but it's so damn expensive at the end because you all of a sudden you spend 3 months and you're not sure if this is big enough or not. So think wisely when you want to do experiments. I'm all for experiments, just do it for the right reason. And there's even a worse reason. When there are weak arguments, you be standing and discussing this idea with the person and say, oh, we don't know who's right. Let's A/B test it. Let's see who's right. This is a nightmare. I cannot tell you how much time gets wasted in companies because of just poor arguments. Because no one has done the homework. No one has a strong argument. No one understands why is this valuable. They just say, okay, let's A/B test and see who's right. Again, think of it as an investor. Is our arguments even worth this money? Let's pass on it if it's not useful. If it's useful, then let's build the conviction and do with the clear direction. Cool. This is, I hope, is all nice. There is just one last point for this model and framework to work for every one of you, and that's something you need to understand really well, is this doesn't work just arbitrarily. There's a lot of cultural work that needs to happen in the companies, and that is on trust. The whole model to build great products fast bets on a trust. If there isn't a trust within the team, that the designer knows what they do, that the engineers are capable of building good solutions, that the product manager can find us the right problems to work on, and can convince and bring in the buy-in from the stakeholders and the company, there's no way this is going to work. Right? Trust is the essence of this whole model for you to build great product fast. Otherwise, you're destined to remain to build mediocre products. Cool. And this is also just one takeaway that I would like you to keep with you is honestly trust outperforms talent. Even if you have the best engineers in the world, if they don't trust each other, if there is so much useless discussions, there will still be weak performance, no matter how talented they are. Trust that everyone knows what they do. Product managers do the right problem discovery. Designers, engineers do the right solutions. There is no jargon that goes on and wastes our time. And you will do significantly better. Just as a recap of what we discussed so far, there are 5 elements for how to build really great products fast. Think of you as an investor. You are an investor. I doubt there is a better analogy to this. Second is, don't share requirements, business requirements with the engineers. Share context. Immerse them in context. Even if you think you shared enough context, share even more. Third is, great PMs are great business partners. Fourth is, good thinking and collaboration almost 90% of the time beats the best experiments if you really think deeply and you collaborate effectively. And last is, this bets on trust, and trust almost consistently outperforms talent. Yeah, thank you. If you have any other questions. Appreciate it. Thank you. طبعا feel free to challenge what I said. I would love to be challenged or ask any follow-up questions, whether now or even later. You can also ask me on LinkedIn anytime. But I would love even now if anyone has any questions. we'll share them, أبو حجلة. There's أبو حجلة. أبو حجلة هناك. لا, okay, there's. نجيك إن شاء الله.
Hi, thank you so much for this session. Yeah. Thank you so much for the session.
Sure.
It was extremely interesting. عندي سؤال إيش بيكون الفرق بين ال product engineers و product managers, sorry, when they come from an engineering and technical background and when they don't? And what do you prefer from your experience?
Okay. This is more of an organizational structure, what each company calls what they have, product engineers or engineers. Probably even internally, every company defines it differently. But generally, a product engineer does exactly what I said, or this is what I expect them to do: is they understand the business and they execute accordingly. They don't just execute. They understand the product. They talk to users. They have the business context, and they can execute much quicker. This is the software engineers, they just follow requirements. As per the current definition, again, every company defines it differently. Sure. في كمان أبو حجلة. هاي هناك إذا ممكن. شكله فيش نصيب لكم. نجيكم إن شاء الله. بس هناك كمان.
Hi, thank you for the session. I have a question. You mentioned that the PM is valuable because they bring return on investment, and I think you put an example. How, as a PM, for example, if the company, for example, set this value, I want you to bring me that return on investment, how should I question this value, and how should I know if this makes sense, if this is realistic, if this is feasible or not? How can I use the data to do that? And if it turns out it's possible, if I need to do a drastic change, when to decide that in general?
Okay. There's so much nuance to answer this. But I will focus on the main thing. How do I know that this is worth it and this will have the return on investment, right? So let's think of it as two parts. There's the problem that I said, and then the solution. I will not consider the solutions for now, and just focus on the problem. Problem discovery has different parts of it. the starting point is typically talking to users. Now, even when we talk to users, it depends on what stages the startup at or the company has. Do they have a product market fit or they don't, right? But I will assume that they have a product market fit, okay? Because generally, this is when product managers get hired. Previously, the founder would act as a product manager. So when they find the product market fit, they would hire a product manager. Once they do that, you need to look at what brought this product market fit to life. Why users even decided to pay for this service to begin with. Find the core asset, the core value why the customers want it. And you start from there. You talk to them and get a sense of why would they stay with you? Or why would a similar segment is not being attracted to the same service, right? Because there is no two ways of how you can expand that investment. Is either that the existing customers, you think of what can get them to stay with us for more, or how you can upsell them. You talk to existing customers, or you talk to similar customers that are not being attracted to the service. So you think, okay, what are the pain points? What are they missing? And then you start thinking of, okay, what can I build so that I can bring the segments? The acquisition of new segments or retaining of new segments is the return on investment on that. That's the simplified answer, but there's a little more details in each. Yeah. ضروري هذيك المنطقة. هاي هناك الشباب هناك اللي رفع يدهم.
Marhaba.
أهلا.
So you talked about when working on creating solution, instead of providing requirements for the design team and development team, you provide context. But can you explain more on how you actually do that in practice? It's like, because it seems very far away from the typical standard product management role.
Okay. Can I ask what's your background?
Yeah, I'm a I'm a past engineer, but I'm a product owner now working on digital transformation in sport.
Okay, cool. So you have a software engineering background and working?
No, mechatronics, mostly buildings, automation, smart homes, etc.
Cool. Okay, so the reason I'm asking is, in engineering there is there's a problem statement typically, right? And there are a couple of samples so that you can test the output of whatever solution you're building, right? This is very similar to how even product management should work. Product manager is the writer of that problem statement. And your engineer is exactly as if you open the book and so, okay, this is the problem that I have, but of course, with the business context and everything. And the way you review their work is you tell them, look, but we need to, the user is busy, so make sure that your solution also addresses that they are busy, so the loading times should be faster. The user is, has a low purchase power. Okay, so make sure that we don't overinvest in that solution because they're not really that high of a high value of customers, right? Or the vice versa. Simply, product managers becomes the problem statement writer, and then the engineers becomes the solver, and then the product manager comes again as someone who has a sample to test and validate if those solutions matches the user expectation or not. But to give you an actual example, and I know this is still theoretical, look, I think it's much simpler than anyone can imagine. I literally go on to the whatever product stand-ups. I tell them, I was just doing this discovery, talking to users. I found that these users are, I'm thinking of an actual example. Yeah, so let's say I have this segment that is so focused on healthy lifestyle. Okay, I work in a meal subscription business. Healthy lifestyle means that they don't have time to open the app. If they don't open the app, means that they don't want to select their meals, although we have a menu that they can select from. But the problem statement becomes, how can we build a personalization algorithm that gets the users to what they want without necessarily opening the app? Okay. And then I tell them this segment makes actually 70% of the customers, roughly, for example. And our success is going to be how can we get people, even if they don't open the app, they still can get good meals. Go figure it out. They will start thinking, oh, we need the algorithm. What if we give them notifications? What if we have an easier design where they can navigate even if they open it, they don't waste time, right? And we started discussing those. For me, as a product manager, I don't even say, oh, this is a good solution or a bad solution. I become, literally, the repeating voice of customers. And I act as a customer. I act as a stakeholder, and this is how I talk to them. I don't tell them, oh, this is good, this is bad. I just tell them, as a customer, this is not going to work for me because 1, 2, 3. It's as simple as that. Literally, just a story. Why does it matter? What's the value of it?
Okay, no, it does make sense in that context.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
First of all, thank you. This is the best session I see today.
Oh, I appreciate it. It's an honor.
That's amazing. I wanted to ask about the experimentation and the backlog of experimentation. Everyone in the company has the bright idea, and they want to keep pushing that into that. Let's experiment this. Let's experiment that, and everyone thinks that his idea or her idea is the best idea in the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned that poor ideas should not even go into that pipeline of experimentation. So challenging that idea, it would be sometimes difficult for the product manager to handle. So how do you handle that challenge of pushing back against experiments? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay, I will give you the simplest framework of all time. There are people who say, oh, no, we need to read books on how to say no effectively with keeping the trust and all of that. There is a much better way to say no to everyone in the company and still be happy about it. If you have more important thing to work on. Like literally, if you have something that's more important than everything that you do, that they are proposing, and you have the proof for it, you say that this feature is going to bring us $100,000. Your idea barely gets us $5,000. And you put them in contrast, they will say no themselves. No, please don't work on mine, just work on these other important things. This is what most people, it's much easier to say no if you've already done the homework and know the value of each feature. It becomes automatic, really. Just if you have something important, everything is easy, else becomes easy. Honestly, but just honestly, because this is very funny, honestly. If you think about it as an investor, imagine an investor where a startup comes to them, and investor, where did they get those monies? Is from other millionaires, right? They get the money and ask this investor to put it in a VC model. Okay. Now imagine this: if this VC goes back to their LPs or investors and tell them, they'd ask them, where did you spend their money? They tell them, well, I had to put it in these 3 startups. They tell them, yeah, but these are horrible startups. Why did you invest in them? Imagine that investor saying, well, sorry, I didn't have a better option. I had to give them the money. How would you perceive that investor? Right? They say that this is a horrible investor. You don't just throw in money because someone asked for it, right? But they did not just give the horrible startups the money because they're horrible. It's because they couldn't find any better startup. If they actually did the homework and found better startups, then they would have invested in them. But when they don't have any, then they're destined to invest in the poor startups, right? There's someone. كمان إذا ممكن. في هناك آخر واحد.
Thank you so much صراحة. I really enjoyed the topics that you have mentioned. بدي أرجع بس لبوينت تبعت once you receive a message from the CEO.
Yeah.
I saw that you have mentioned إنه I will figure it out with the CFO.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know what's your relationship with the CFO as a PM in your company, or is there any frameworks to how you can collaborate with the CFO? Because I haven't heard it before.
Can I give you a counter question? Why would the product manager not collaborate with the CFO anyway?
To be honest, I haven't heard about how can I collaborate with the CFO.
You get in a meeting, you tell them, open the sheet, how good are we doing? They tell you, oh, well, we're burning money on this, we're burning money on this. Then you start discussing how can we make it better? Or we're bringing this much money, and this is where most of the customers are actually paying. How can we make it better? That's it. And if they're again, if you think it's a mindset, if the product managers think of themselves as the partners, they wouldn't feel awkward about this.
فبس in terms of financials مش ال costs of building a feature أو يعني كيف أحكي لك إنه بس it's about what should we build based على our financial statements أو financials تبعت البرودكت.
Yeah, ما هو صراحة ال financial sheets give you a lot of inspiration. This is one of the most underlooked areas in product management. Just open the financial sheets, you will see where to prioritize.
Okay. فكرت فيه إنه زي a way to prioritize with the financial in a better way.
لا just a place to يعني to get inspiration of what problems actually matter. To يعني a place to spot the biggest problems. Financial sheets are amazing at this.
Got it. Thank you.
تمام في كمان هنا. هي عادي I would love كمان anyone to challenge يعني this framework. هذا طلع من رحم المعاناة.
مرحبا شكرا على السيشن كانت كثير interesting بس سؤال لموضوع الاكسبيرمنتيشن you say that companies should not be like maybe adopting a culture of like pure experimentation but you also mentioned that a PM rule is to find problems. A big part of finding problems is to like test assumptions which is initially experimentation. True. So how can like a PM do effective experimentation with finding problems?
Okay, great question, صراحة. Thank you for asking this. I want just to make a disclaimer يعني, and clarify something. I'm not against experimentation. I'm against experimentation for the wrong reasons. 90% of experiments happen for the wrong reasons. But if the experiment is actually worth 3 months of investment, then yeah, by all means, go for it. But yani, we need to be just cautious of that experiments are not cheap. They take time. And if the company is not willing to invest 3 months, then why bother to begin with it from the start? You know, it's the same mindset of ROI. Like if you're investing something, you're expecting a high return. If the experimenting is not, you're not expecting high return from it, then why bother from the start? That's simple as that يعني. But no, experimentation is great, but just do it for the right reasons. تمام. We're good.
طيب احنا حكينا لكم في عنا زي كارير كوتشنج وحموري واحد من الكوتشز الموجودين معنا فإذا كان أي حدا early in his PM career أو wanting to shift to a PM فإذا بتفوتوا على الويب سايت عنا أول واحد بيعبي الفورم بنقي محمود حموري راح يكون له سيشن ببلاش مع حموري على بس we have a career coaching program. We're helping people who want to shift into product management أو in a career progression, helping in their career. فحموري is one of the coaches that we have in that program. So if you go to our website and then go to the career coaching
ايش الويب سايت؟
ما هو هم لازم يعرفوا الويب سايت.
انت you're not telling them what's the website.
بعدين على الفورم بتعبوه بتنقوا حموري اول واحد بيعبي هو راح ياخذ فري سيشن مع حموري بس.
ان شاء الله.
برودكت فوكس.
هي نفس اللابسه.
ثانك يو. شكرا حموري على السيشن.
anytime.